let big hello to all my KCET champions. Welcome to Map My Tutor. This is Nimra, your one and only physics faculty. Do you all know that KCET examinations are just in 3 months? Hence, it is very important that you all start working really hard. So, let us take our pen and papers outside because today we are going to discuss KCET 2025 previous year questions. If the radius of the first Bohr orbit is r, then the radius of the second Bohr orbit will be. The formula for this is Rn equal to Rn minus 1 dot n square. Now we will put our values. Rn is what? R2, because I need to find for the second Bohr orbit, equal to n minus 1 R1 dot 2 square. So R2 equal to first Bohr is R. So R into 4. That's nothing but 4R. Which option is correct? Option B is correct. Theoretical question. Match the following types of nuclei with their examples. You have given isotope, isobar, isotopes. So A is 3. Isobar will be lithium and beryllium. Isotones is oxygen and F. So which option is correct? Option D is the correct answer. Not much explanation needed. It's directly from NCERT. Which of the following statements is incorrect with reference to nuclear forces? Now, there's very limited concept that is mentioned in your NCERT about nuclear forces. So whenever questions come on nuclear forces, it will be revolving in the same concept. So you should be very careful with it. See, the options are nuclear force becomes attractive for the nucleon distances larger than 0.8 femtometer. Yes, very correct. It becomes repulsive if it is less than 0.8 femtometer. Definitely. It's always attractive. Is it always attractive? No, it's not always attractive. It becomes attractive only if the distances are larger than 0.8. Or else it's repulsive. So option C is the wrong answer. Just correct here. Potential energy is minimum if the separation between them is yes. So option D is also correct. This question actually requires no explanation. It's direct your values. The range of electrical conductivity and resistivity for metals is. Now for any conductor for that matter, your resistivity will be low and your conductivity is high. And metal is a conductor. So with this concept, you need to try to remember the range. Now, it's not important that you remember exact values. You need to remember the range. That's how you remember the concept in KCET examination. Now see, here your conductivity is very low as compared to resistivity. So it's not correct. Same here also. Same here also. But you see option D. The conductivity is larger as compared to your resistivity. And hence option D is correct. So this is how you play with your options and work with elimination method. Which of the following statement is correct for N-type semiconductors? First option, the donor energy level lies closely above the top of the valence bond. No. The donor energy level lies at the halfway for no. The donor energy level does not exist. Definitely it exists. So that is also wrong. The donor energy level lies just below the bottom of the conduction band. Yes. So this is the correct option. Now they have twisted the question here, right? You have studied with respect to valence bond, but they can ask you with respect to conduction band as well. So don't get confused. The circuit shown in the figure contains two ideal diodes. We have D1 and D2. And you have your resistors 70, 30, 30 and at voltage of 3 volts. Now if you see carefully, this is forward bias, this is reverse bias, correct? Here you see the current. So reverse bias, you know that current will not flow and hence we don't have to take this. So we have only this part of the circuit now. What is your R equivalent? R1 plus R2, these two are in series. So 100 ohms. My volt is 3. What we need to find? We need to find the current through this resistor. So V equal to IR which is nothing but I equal to V by R, 3 by 100. That comes out to be 0.03 amps. So which is the correct option? Option C. In determining the refractive index of glass slab using the traveling microscope, the readings are tabulated. So here are your readings. You should tell the refractive index of the glass slab. Very simple, direct formula based. Let us consider this as R1, this as R2, this as R3. We know the formula R3 minus R1 divided by R3 minus R2. So that is nothing but you can do the calculation step by step. I am leaving the steps here. 8.123 minus your 5.123. That comes out to be 3. Divided by 8 minus this will come out to be 2. So 1.5. To which option lies? Option E. Here is 23rd question, which is a very experimental base directly from current electricity chapter. What they are telling, they have a shunt resistor, they have a galvanometer, they have a normal resistor and 2 keys. So what we have to find? The resistance of galvanometer is nearly. Now a very easy trick to do such questions is, we know the formula RS is divided by R minus S. Now here your answer, always remember, your answer will be close to your shunt resistor. So what is your shunt resistance here? What is the value of shunt resistance that is given? 90. Now come to your options. 45, 103, 91, 116. So your correct option comes out to be option C. So it's a very simple question. In a very small trick, smart way, you can solve it. Now this question is important. Let's see why. They have given you unit by determining the coefficient of viscosity. They have given you the distance. They have given you radius. And they have given you time intervals. And you need to find out coefficient of viscosity. Yes. So first what you will do, learn this, learn the method. Same questions will be asked always in every year. Now, take average of time. When you take average of this, you will get as 2.7 seconds. Okay. Now, coefficient of viscosity we can find out with the help of Stokes' law. In order to do that, we need terminal velocity, which is not given to us. So how will you find terminal velocity? Distance by time. Here distance is h by your time, the average time which we found out. So it will be 0.9 upon 2.7, which will come out to be 1 by 3 meter per second. Now we will apply it Stokes' law. Now I won't be doing each and every substitution. You need to do that. I'll tell you the formula. So what is Stokes' law? If I need to find eta, which is coefficient of viscosity, it will be 2r square differences in density into acceleration due to gravity divided by 9 into your terminal velocity. Now see, everything is divided. R is given to you. Differences in density is here. G is 10. V we just now found out. So just substitute the value. You will get your answer, which will come out to be 0.14 Pascal per second. So this is a very simple question and every year they are asking. So learn it. To solve this particular question also we have a simple trick. What is the question? Which of the following expressions can be deduced on the basis of dimensional analysis? Now if you see your options very carefully, here you have an omega. Here I have exponents. Here I have an addition. When you have these terminologies or these equations, we don't use dimensional analysis there. So which is automatically the correct option? The correct option comes out to be option C. Very easy, very simple, and it's of free marks. 2 stones begin to fall from rest from the same height. Okay, they are the same height. With the second stone starting to fall after delta t seconds. Okay, from the first fall through. Okay. The distance of the separation between them is h and t naught times seconds. Okay. What you should find out? You should find out t naught. Fine. We will have 2 equations here. The first equation is for the first stone, which will be half gt squared. G naught t squared. And you will have the second equation, that is half g t naught square minus delta t. Or you can write it together also. How you will write it? You can write it in this way. You can write it t by square. Now you need to find out the separation. So when you have to find out the separation, you will just simply subtract it. Right? So subtracting this, you will get half g p naught square minus t minus delta t whole square bracket close. From here, you can find out your t naught. Now again, I'm not doing the basic mathematics here. You will find out your answer will come in option C. If you still have any doubt in the calculation, do write it in the comment section. I will reply to it. Conceptual based questions directly from motion in straight line chapter. In the motion in plane chapter. In the projectile motion of a particle on a level ground, which of the following remains constant? Which quantity is remaining constant, you need to tell with reference to time and position. Read the options carefully. First option is average velocity between any 2 points on the path. No. Horizontal component of velocity remains constant. Yes. Let's see the other points as well. Angle between the instantaneous velocity with horizontal is never constant. Whatever component of the velocity of the projectile, no. That also keeps changing. Hence, your correct option is B. Very simple, very short question. A particle is in uniform circular motion. The equation of its trajectory is given by this. What is the equation that's given to you? X minus 2 whole square plus y square equal to 25. And what is given to you? Velocity. 2 meters per second. Okay, ma'am. When the particle attends at the lowest y coordinate, the acceleration is, you need to find out acceleration. Now, we can find out r from here because I know a is equals to b squared by r. B is given to me, r is not given to me. R I find out from here. That will be, r will be under root 25, which is 5. Putting in this, 2 to 4, 5. 4 divided by 5 comes out nearly to be 0.8. In y coordinate. So what is the answer? Option C, ma'am. Done. Easy question. Just by a formula, you got it. So you need to be very good with your basic mathematics. You need to know how to take R from here. That's how you get it. Now, when you see such kind of questions, don't get scared. Try to simplify whatever block diagrams are given to you. And then you match with your answer. That's the trick to do these such kind of questions. Let's read it. They are giving you a block of mass capital on a rough load here. Another wooden block is there of the same mass hanging from the point O. What we need to do? We need to achieve equilibrium. The coefficient of static friction between the block and the fluid is, you need to find out the static friction such that these two are in equilibrium. That's the whole point. Now, we have a static friction that is mu L, right? And then look carefully. This is T, let's take. I am resolving my components, so it will be T cos theta and above will be T sin theta. Again, on this block, there is a gravity that is acting downwards, M, G, and that's it. Our problem is solved. If you can come in here, done. We are done, almost done with the question. Equate T sin theta equal to mg. Yes, can I find out T from here? Yes, ma'am. T equal to mg by sin theta. Keep this as it is. It will be useful for us now. We will do your horizontal components as well now. So it will be T cos theta equal to mu n. N is nothing but mg. So I'm directly writing mg. T, I just got it. So I'll write on that mg by sin theta into cos theta equal to mu. This capital M, guys. Can I cancel? Yes, ma'am. mg and mg went off. Mu is sin theta, cos theta by sin theta. There is 1 by tan theta. That is cot theta. So mu comes out to be cot theta. Easy. Shape is not difficult at all. Yes, just that you need to know how to resolve the diagrams. So here is the graph. It's a graph question, which means it's very easy. Let's see. What they have told you, there is a block of certain mass is placed on a rough surface. Fine. The coefficient of static and kinetic friction is given to you. They are telling there is a horizontal force that is applied of 20 Newton. Okay. I found that the velocity. Okay. Such that velocity varies as such given in your graph. You need to find out mass. Now velocity time is given to me. I can find out my acceleration. So acceleration is delta v by delta d. 20 minus 0, 3 minus 6. So that will be 20 by 3 meter per second squared. Okay. Now comes the force. We know F is equals to m into it. From somewhere with that we need to do. Net force will be equal to frictional minus your external, which will be equal to ma. From here I'll get my F. That will be ma plus mu mg, and directly applying Fk value here. I take my m common, which will be a plus mu g. So my m will be equal to F divided by a plus mu g. Now again, I'm not doing a basic substitution and calculation. When you see the answer, it will come out to be option B. You can do it, you can solve it. Don't use calculators. Calculators are not allowed.